Hi, I'm Steve Scott, and you don't know me, but you may have seen my products on TV. About 45 years ago, I was only 27 years old, and I found a product that I thought was a breakthrough product. It could do something nothing else in the world could do nearly as well. And so I partnered with a friend who had $5,000, and we started a little company. And 5 months later, our sales hit $1 million a week. $1 million a week on one product. Why? Because it was a breakthrough. What's a breakthrough? A breakthrough is something that can do something that nothing else in the world can do as effectively, efficiently, or as economically. And from that point on, I had a simple formula: find breakthrough products, put them on TV with a celebrity, and sell them to the public. And we generated more than 40 million phone calls over my career, and billions of dollars in products. For example, we found a breakthrough weight loss product, one that you didn't have to count calories, you didn't have to look at grams of sugar or grams of fat. It was the most simple, and yet it was amazingly effective. We had one guy said, the Guinness Book of Records, he lost 715 pounds. That's how effective that breakthrough was. It was called Deal-A-Mill, and its inventor was a guy named Richard Simmons. And we took that to the world and is sweating to the oldies. We found a treadmill that was a breakthrough, and Jane Fonda was our spokesperson on that. We found hair care products with an inventor that they were amazing, and Cher was our spokesperson on that. But the one that most people remember, because it's still on television, we launched in 1996. It was the Total Gym with Chuck Norris and Christy Brinkley. I retired from that company quite a few years ago and started a new company a couple years ago. And the new company I started around the biggest breakthrough I have found in my lifetime. Let me show you something. This is a tennis ball. No breakthrough there. This is a sewing needle. No breakthrough here. Now, imagine if somebody said, I will pay you $1 billion if you can get that tennis ball through the eye of that needle. Now, I don't care how hard, and you can't break the tennis ball and you can't enlarge the needle. I don't care what I would do, no matter how much I wanted that $1 billion, I could not get the tennis ball through the eye of a needle. Nobody could. But now imagine if we found a process where we could reduce that tennis ball so tiny that you could get 40 or 50 of them into the eye of the needle at the same time. That would be a breakthrough. That's called nanosizing. What you do when you nanosize is particles clump together in solution. So you separate the particles, and then you have microseconds to encapsulate the particles in either a fat, which they call lipids or liposomes, or a chemical, and then they won't come back together. Well, we found a way to nanosize in something that wasn't a fat, and it's not a chemical. In fact, we found a way to reorganize ultra-pure water molecules around those nanoparticles, and that allowed us to get to sizes that were a fraction of the size of normal nanoparticles. We could get so tiny that we could see things that nobody had ever seen. So what we did, one of my favorite molecules, actually no oxygen-based life on Earth without it, is a molecule called glutathione. It's made by every cell in your body, every cell in every animal body, in plants, and like I say, there'd be no oxygen-based life without it. It's as critical to your health and performance as oxygen is. And it performs all these incredible functions, over 400 functions in the human body. Quite a few of them are critical for life. Stop those functions and you die, okay? It's really, I call it God's miracle molecule. And the problem is that our glutathione levels decline every year. They decline every decade, about, on average, anywhere from 8 to 12% per decade. So I'm in my 70s, and so my glutathione levels should be half, less than half of what they were in my 20s. Now, glutathione, among other things, it is the primary protector of your cell. It is the detoxifier. Your cell has many industrial chemicals in it, and they need to get out. Well, guess what gets them out? Glutathione. It is the primary protector of your mitochondrial DNA. That's critical to your life. It is the protector of your immune cells. You know, your immune cells protect you, but what protects them? When your glutathione levels are high, your immune cells can reproduce explosively in response to a bacterial or viral insult. But when they're low, your immune cells reproduce sluggishly. So, and we all know, having come through what we've come through in the last couple of years, we all know the value of our immune system. Those little T cells are amazing. They're assassins. They target bacteria, viruses, cancer, and they're what your body depends on. They're called the assassins of the immune system, okay? And the faster they can reproduce to a bacterial or viral insult, the more effective they're going to be. We need to keep our immune system healthy. And the key to protecting the immune system is glutathione. So glutathione declines by 10% per decade, but the assault on the cells don't. Do you know every cell in your body, you have about 60 trillion of them, are attacked 10,000 to 20,000 times a day by things called free radicals. Now, a free radical is just a thief. It wants to steal an electron from your cell and then make your cell vulnerable to all sorts of problems. And so what glutathione does, instead of your cell donating one of its electrons, the glutathione molecule donates one of its electrons and it neutralizes or sequesters the free radical. Amazing. And then it recycles itself. The same molecule recycles itself over and over and over again. Glutathione is also critical to oxygen transfer. When hemoglobin is manufactured in your body, it cannot bind to an oxygen molecule, so it's useless. It has to be reduced to what's called a positive 2. The reduction agent that reduces hemoglobin to a positive 2 is glutathione. So it allows your hemoglobin molecules to bind to an oxygen molecule and deliver that molecule wherever it needs to go. Dr. Oz did an entire show just on glutathione. Here's what he said at the beginning of that show. The most powerful antioxidant you've never heard of. It's one of the keys to fighting off the diseases you fear the most. It's called glutathione. Now write it down because it's critically important. And in that show, Dr. Oz had Dr. David Katz, who was head of Yale University's research department in disease prevention. And listen to what he said on glutathione. It really is the most important antioxidant. It's the one the body relies on to clean up critical toxins. He said, if you're chronically run down, if you're chronically fatigued, if your body just isn't firing on all cylinders, low glutathione may be part of it, both cause and effect. People used to think vitamin C was the most critical molecule. And in 1984, there were 16,000 studies on vitamin C. There were only 8,000 studies published on glutathione. Well, as they began to study more and more, they realized that glutathione is the key to human health and human performance. Today, there's over 160,000 studies on glutathione compared to 75,000 studies on vitamin C. It is certainly one of the most studied molecules in all of molecular biology. Ask your doctor about it. Most doctors will say, yeah, I think I read about that in medical school. But ask any molecular biologist about it and their eyes will light up. They'll go, oh man, let me tell you about glutathione because it's so cool. Well, the problem is, as our levels decline, we need to bring them back up. And that's not so easy. Why? Because glutathione itself is a very fragile molecule. It gets destroyed in the gut. It's rate-limiting amino acid. It's made up of 3 amino acids. 2 are in abundance, glutamic acid and glycine. But the third amino acid that makes up the glutathione is L-cysteine. L-cysteine, like the glutathione molecule, is so fragile that when it gets into the stomach, it's destroyed. Now, you can buy, there are ways around it. You can buy liposomal glutathione. You can buy liposomal L-cysteine, and those are somewhat effective. But what would happen if we could nanosize the glutathione particles and make them so tiny that you didn't have to go through the stomach? They would literally transfer through the mucous membranes in your cheek and sublingually and be absorbed that way. What would happen if we could actually make the particles, the molecules, if we could get them to the size to where they could be more bioavailable to the skin? Well, that's what we've done. Our technology is called hydrostat, and it's a nanotechnology that is novel and unique to us. We're the only ones that have it. Nobody else in the world has it. And it uses reorganized ultra-pure water molecules to surround the nanoparticles. Do you think your cells want to have more water? Yeah, believe me, they like water more than they like fat. So we went ahead, we created a supplement where we nanosized glutathione, L-cysteine, and some other cofactors, and we went ahead and we gave it to athletes because we know if it's going to really work, it's going to change performance. Well, we saw amazing things with athletes. One athlete who was on the downside of his career, he had been a strength and conditioning coach with the Seattle Seahawks. When he was 48, he set a world record bench pressing 804 pounds. And after that, it was downhill. By the time he was 59, he could only bench 725. Now, that's a lot. It set the record for his age group, but he was no longer competing with the elite. And you can blame it on age and loss of lean muscle and everything else. Well, he started using our product. And because it cut his recovery time so much, instead of lifting heavy once a week, he could lift heavy 4 times a week, which changed everything. He could also work out back muscles that he hadn't been able to work out in years. And his bench press in 6 months of using our product went from 725 pounds to 915 pounds. 6 months later, as a 60-year-old, he set a new world record for all ages, 1,050 pounds, okay? Up 300 pounds from a year and a half earlier. Nobody does that, right? Well, he will tell you that by swishing, he cut his recovery time so much he could work out more often. Guess what? He was the first athlete I gave the product to. I started giving it to other athletes I knew, and they saw the same things. Man, the first time the runners and cyclists were using it, they were breaking their personal records. The very first time, it just blew them away. Same thing with boxers and everybody we gave it to on the athletic world. They just went crazy. And what's so cool is there's no stimulants. There's nothing bad for you in it. It's heart healthy, brain healthy. It's just glutathione and some other cofactors. Well, then we decided what would happen if we put it into a formula for skin. Once again, getting that molecule size. You know, your skin is meant to keep things out. But what happens how much more bioavailability would we be by reducing the particle size so tiny that if the skin wants it, the skin could receive it? So we went ahead and did that, and the results were amazing. For example, look at this woman. That was 7 weeks of spraying her face just 5 times a day, and look at the difference it made. Here's her 80-year-old mother who sprayed her face about 5 times a day at 80 for 3 weeks. Look at the difference. And we just kept seeing things like this over and over again. So we formed a company, and the company is called Neumi. And we just launched it July 7th. We are so excited. It's amazing what we've seen there, but we knew we would, because what happens when a person can take something, and the way you use ours is you just take 2 little capfuls, put it in your mouth, swish it for 30 to 60 seconds, and then swallow. And you will feel it. No stimulants or anything, but you'll start to feel it within a couple minutes. It's that fast acting. And we put our skincare solution. We nanosize not only glutathione and L-cysteine, but hyaluronic acid. You've all heard about that on TV for the skin. Collagen, we all know about that, plus some other amino acids that helps your skin to produce more of its own collagen and more of its own elastin. And look at this woman. This is so cool. Look what it did for her face in 4 weeks. And everybody was saying, oh man, how much weight did you lose? She didn't lose any weight. And yet look at her face. Look at the difference, okay? These are the kinds of things we're seeing all over the place. I hope you'll look us up. I hope you'll watch our videos. This is a breakthrough that I want to take to the world. When I take a product out on television, I have to pay the television stations millions of dollars. I've had one product where, it's sold almost $4 billion in product sales, but we spent hundreds of millions of dollars, into TV stations, coffers. When I take them out on retail, guess where the hundreds of millions of dollars go? They go into the retail stores. Well, what would happen if we could actually bypass the retail stores, bypass the TV stations, and use everyday people, moms and dads, and people that just want to have an additional source of income? What would happen if instead of putting all of that money into TV stations or stores, instead we could put it into everyday families by letting them, through word of mouth, distribute our products? So that's what we do at Neumi. I hope you'll look at us. I hope you'll watch the videos. And most of all, I hope you'll join with us. We're looking for partners. And my whole life changed when I learned how to effectively partner. We want to effectively partner with you.